Hello, my name is Hilke Bos-Brouwers and I am Senior Scientist, Sustainable and Circular Systems at Wageningen University and Research. We are a proud partner of the CEE2ACT project. Welcome to our video presentation on the bioeconomy in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, the bioeconomy is all about sustainable production and the use of renewable biomass. Specific to the Dutch context, we make the connection between bioeconomy and circular economy. That is all about the sustainable use and reuse of products and closing the loop within key agro-food cycles within the Netherlands, but also in a European and international context. Let me take you on a short journey across the Dutch ambitions, actions, strategies, roadmaps, funding and results, with some key research topics from Wageningen University and Research. We hope you will be interested to learn more, so don't hesitate to reach out and contact the CEE2ACT coordinator or ourselves. Enjoy the presentation. As mentioned, there has been made a strong connection between bioeconomy and circular economy in the Netherlands. The government has established links between the two policies and the transition agenda for the circular economy. The synergies arise as the objectives of both bio and circular economy are similar. They both aim to feed the growing world population, to prevent both fossil and biomass resources from becoming depleted, to prevent irreversible environmental damage and pollution, and to combat climate change. The Netherlands are not responsible for action alone. These ambitions align with European targets and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. All European member states have the obligation to achieve targets and develop and implement national strategies on the bioeconomy. In the Netherlands, work on the bioeconomy was initiated around 2007, establishing a government vision on the bio-based economy and the energy transition. This initial vision became later translated into a framework on the bio-based economy in 2012 and the Green Growth Business Plan in 2013. In parallel, initiatives started to measure and monitor the bioeconomy performance in the Netherlands. In 2016, the first comprehensive overview on biomass flows in the Netherlands was published, with 2015 as a reference year. Important to mention is that the government from the onset and throughout started to involve industry, academia, other government authorities and NGOs to develop action plans. With the policies and measurements in place, 2016 kicked off numerous actions described in the government-wide program for Dutch circular economy by 2050. This program outlined actions to transform our current linear system. It identified the necessary changes or prospects, the potential for the use of raw biomass materials, underpinning actions with strategic directions for change, and also earmarking interventions. From the government perspective, these included legislative changes, market incentives, the financing of initiatives, knowledge and innovation funding, and support for multi-actor cooperation. Priorities included biomass and food, but also plastics, manufacturing, construction, and consumer goods. In 2017, the Raw Materials Agreement was initially signed by 180 parties from across business and societal stakeholders. Later on, this was signed by more than 400 signatories. The agreement allocated roles, responsibilities, and joint actions to ensure the Dutch economy can run on biomass resources. 6 months after the signing of the original agreement, concrete plans to accelerate the transition were presented as the 5 bioeconomy agendas. These 5 transition agendas follow the priorities mentioned before, including biomass and food, plastics, manufacturing, construction, and consumer goods. Each transition agenda has various agreements on it. First of all, its courses of action set for 2021, 25, and 2030, including an analysis of the potential for more efficient and intelligent use of raw materials. It has an action agenda, in which a select number of innovation projects for the short and long term are identified, with a focus on impact and which attention is given to the bottlenecks such as institutional barriers and funding, but also coherence with other social goals and the international context. It also involves cross-sectoral connections with the other transition agendas. They are cleverly designing the implementation process, including a clear interpretation of the roles and responsibilities of the relevant partners, and it formulates flagship projects. There's also a knowledge agenda in which knowledge gaps, new knowledge, and research questions are put on the agenda that are crucial to the acceleration of the transition, the development of the correct indicators, and for thinking through the interferences between objectives and underlying values. It also has a social agenda in which attention is given to the labor market effects, like opportunities and risk, undesirable side effects, the quality of work, but also circular business models in which high employee satisfaction and business performance go hand in hand. There's also an investment agenda that addresses barriers to financing the circular economy, with insights about what is necessary to achieve sound and financeable business cases. It also includes possible financial interventions that can remove those barriers. Building on these agendas, an implementation program 2019-2023 was published in 2019, with overarching importance given to stimulating sustainable product design, which is a focus on prevention, but also closing of material loops, which is a focus on reuse and reduction. Earlier than indicated, the implementation program was updated in 2021, highlighting and detailing actions on following items: circularity and innovation, sustainable European mining and refining, diversification, a greater sustainability in international supply chains, and knowledge building and monitoring. Now, in 2023, we are focusing on implementing, staying on track, measuring progress to targets at action level, but also on the integration of the discussion on connecting circular economy, bioeconomy, but also the climate agenda on the agri-food domain. Looking ahead, 2030 is actually not that far away. Our national program sets the Netherlands on track to achieve the desired 50% reduction in raw materials consumption, also within agri-food. But it will not be easy, the clock is ticking. Realization is now setting in that in order to achieve those targets, some radical changes in how we organize the economy are of vital importance, but not to everyone's advantage. Staying connected with industry and society is increasingly important to maintain support and commitment for the planned actions. This is also true for the next step in time, achieving a waste-free economy by 2050. As mentioned, funding is an important element for success. Money follows action, and the Dutch government supports companies that develop innovative products and approaches through tax benefits, innovation credits, but also grants in agri-food, life sciences and health, energy and chemical sector. All in connection with the Dutch Knowledge Institute as well. The graph illustrates the increasing amounts of available governmental funding over the past few years. Recently, a climate fund of 24 billion euros for 2024-2030 was accorded by the Dutch Parliament. Measurements are instrumental in knowing whether enough is being done to achieve the goals for the bioeconomy. Measuring the current state of affairs, the potential, the progress will support government and business alike and will help to steer on impact. In order to perform those measurements, a number of methods have been developed. Some have their origin in the Netherlands and others are derived from European or international approaches. They include the Integral Circular Economy Report, the Raw Materials Information System, utilizing the recipe method for life cycle analysis, and the monitoring of substances of very high concern. To coordinate and create synergies in the measurement methods, the Netherlands have established the platform for the acceleration of the circular economy. The key to success is collaboration. Although the Netherlands are famous for their multi-actor collaboration called polderen, the close involvement and collaboration between different stakeholders, both top-down and bottom-up, has led to a great involvement and commitment for the implementation of plans. The collaboration process helps to understand ambitions, challenges, but also bottlenecks and barriers. It is not necessarily about compromising, but creating a joint approach, which is feasible for all. This collaborative approach also sits at the core of Wageningen University and Research. It is our preferred way of doing research, together with businesses, governmental institutions, and NGOs alike. With our research, we contribute to global challenges such as climate change, overpopulation of urban centers, malnutrition, and the overconsumption of nature and natural resources. Our findings present insights and solution pathways on the necessary transitions in circular agri-food systems, the eating of proteins from more diverse sources, circular bio-based economy, technical disruptions, and digital connectiveness. Within CEE2ACT's activities on knowledge transfer and capacity building, Wageningen University and Research will co-organize a series of workshops, webinars, and online training, as well as organizing an international site visit at Wageningen in autumn 2024. We hope to see you there. Thank you for your attention.